Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mike Files, 52 miles east of Jellystone Park in Coyote, Wyoming. We are blessed to have good friend Joshua Robertson back in the studio. Welcome, my brother. Good to see you again, man. Happy to have you back.
Good to be back.
Yeah, always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. Maybe one of these times we can do this when it's not under the circumstances.
Yeah.
You know, I guess that's just part of it, though. The wheel of life.
Sure is.
The wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
Is that
Remember
Kansas?
playing? I think so. Remember playing that in band? Didn't we play that in band?
I think so.
God, I remember doing it was Liver Eating Jeremiah Johnson's. They did like the reburial or whatever. Do you remember that? Were you in band?
I had Omar.
Yeah, we had Omar Spitzer and Merton and Cantanella or Cantaloni or whatever his name.
Yeah,
Omar he had some problems.
Yeah, that poor guy.
He was special.
Yeah,
he had a weird little temper on him, didn't he?
Yeah,
he'd be the coolest. I think he could flip the fuck out.
I heard that he was just a really, really nice guy. Like outside of school,
I thought he was, but then there'd be times. I never thought he was a bad guy, but there'd be times he'd lose it and it'd just be like, "Ooh!"
He'd slam that music stand down and talk about selling candy to kids again.
Yeah. Well, the other guy was that other dude. I think was the candy seller, wasn't he?
I think Mr. Omar.
Not Omar. It was the Spitzer guy.
Oh.
Didn't he get Yeah. Didn't he have short eyes?
Yeah.
Extremely short eyes. Behind those glasses were some extremely short eyes.
Yeah. He got put away for a while.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Maybe we ended up where John Cody was.
Yeah, they must have been close.
We always knew Cody. Cody was dating girls in my class when he was teaching school.
Yep.
That son of a bitch, he'd go over there to the grade school over there to the Glendale Park, the dunk hoops.
Yeah.
And like my little brother would be playing basketball over there, and he'd go over there and like dunk on little kids.
Yep.
And then like showboat.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, dude, you were like an all-state basketball player. You're like 6'4". You're dunking on 8th graders.
Yeah, nice crossover, dude.
Yeah, way to go. I remember one night he got into it. He had some underage girls or something over there in the hot tub at the country club, and he got into it with my other brother. And then I remember one time we came back it was like a Thanksgiving vacation, and we used to go in the Dollar underage, and there was an after party up the street, and they had a pool table, and Olenek and I were in there shooting pool, and it was him and one of his friends. They wanted to play, and we beat the shit out of him. Mm-hmm. And they threw us out. Like, they were way older and bigger than us, and they threw us out of the party. And like all the older girls were like, "Why you guys gotta be such dicks?" And just like, "Fuck you all."
He didn't want you guys there to protect the girls,
right? Yeah. He had, God, that dude.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Down there, like, oh God. I hope he got what was coming to him. There's a dude that right there. If I ever see that guy again. Mm-hmm. That's a dude that's like take off on sight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would not, I'd go do a couple nights in jail and take a charge on that.
Yep.
I mean, dude's down there in a public swimming pool, like putting hands on like 10, 11-year-old girls.
Sick, man.
Yeah, disgusting. Absolutely.
We don't have room for people like that.
I wonder where he's at.
I heard that he got out, and I can't even remember who was telling me that.
I wonder what rock he went and crawled under.
Yeah.
He's going to do it again, though. You know that. Like we were talking earlier.
They never change.
Nope. It's the highest recidivism rate there is.
Yep. I know firsthand. I worked with them.
The crazy thing is there, too, you're talking about a guy that is, a handsome dude. Everything going for him.
Yeah.
Great athlete.
Yep.
A legend in this town, and he's got to go out and do shit like,
Well,
I think that what they did was they found out about some shit with him here, and they told him, if you don't resign and get the fuck out of here, then we're going to press charges and you're going to go down. I honestly think that's my alleged speculation.
Well, that happened with another teacher too.
I know it did, and I know very well who that one is, and that's one that I would seriously like to.
Yeah, and I thought he was cool back in the day, like not cool, like, hey, come on over, boys, or anything like that. He just seemed like a solid dude.
Yeah.
But I heard about that after I had graduated.
Yeah, I went through some things with that person that not, yeah.
He was a sting operation, right?
Yeah.
They busted him in the park or something.
Yeah.
Why?
Everybody knew.
Yeah,
everybody had their suspicions on that one, but it's funny how things like that go in a small town. Sometimes bad gas travels fast in a small town, and sometimes it just sits there and ferments.
Well, I live in Denver, so there's quite a variety of women.
Yeah.
And, I went downtown, I don't know, it was like a couple of years ago, and I was with my wife, and there were some girls that were, they were dressed to the nine, and I remember thinking, gross, that looks like a baby. And she's probably like 25,
Yeah. It's hard to, I don't know, man. That's why I don't know.
I'm not into illegal Tinder.
Yeah. It's a goat show out there. Yeah. It's an absolute goat show.
Yep.
And it's just getting worse too, man. It's just the depravity and the just complete lack of any kind of morals or ethics or anything, it's just a world of, if you can get over on somebody or get away with something, you just do.
Yeah.
Look at Hunty.
Oh my gosh, that guy! I was watching a clip of him.
What a mess!
Oh man,
he's a national security threat.
I don't understand why he's not being held and on trial. Like
I don't either. I don't even have a clue.
If you and I even resembled
anything like that, yeah, for sure. Anybody, it doesn't matter. Who else would get away with that?
I don't know, but he's got to be a national security threat.
That's what Jim Jordan was saying yesterday, and I tend to agree.
Yeah.
He's into, who knows who he's dealing with. When you're talking about, and also the one video that I played last night or on yesterday's show, he had a prostitute from either Ukraine or Russia in Boston. So he had brought this prostitute overseas. And he films everything.
Mm-hmm.
So he's filming the transaction. He's paying her, and he's filming it and saying, "I never touched you without asking, right? I'm the most respectable person you know, right?" It's like, dude, why are you filming that?
That's creepy.
Not that I want him to get away with it, but it's like, are you just? And then he's filming himself. He's weighing out 21 grams of crack cocaine on his scale.
Yeah, yeah. I'm more concerned with what he did to that poor girl, that he was talking so highly of himself. Like, I didn't hurt you or whatever it was.
Yeah. And she's not responding to him in English either. She doesn't even, you can tell she doesn't even know. She's getting messages. She's on the phone. So I guarantee her handlers are sending her messages saying, you need to get this money, or it's on you. And he's, God, it was, what was it, 2019. It was 2019, December 8th of 19 until January of 20. Joe gave him $100,000 to pay his bills. $100,000, $30,000,
and prostitutes.
And then the dude never has no clothes on. And he's got a gun. There's pictures of him. He's walking around butt ass naked. He's got a gun with his finger on the trigger. A gun that he lied on the federal background check to get.
And then they dropped it off at a school.
They dropped it off in a dumpster that was full. Yeah, and it was the widowed wife of his brother that he'd been banging that took the gun and threw it in a dumpster next to a grocery store right across the street from a high school. In a full dumpster, and I don't think they ever found the gun.
I think Washington, D.C. is too big to fail for, I think that means something.
I think it's already failed. Yeah. I think it's failed.
Yeah. Oh, it sure did.
Like I've said, I'm all for building a wall. Let's just build it around D.C.
Yep.
Let the fucking criminals cannibalize themselves.
Yeah, and let's have armed guards on the tops of the towers.
Yep. Yeah. Just make it like, what was the one with Snake Plissken? Escape from New York.
Oh,
just wall it off. Here you go.
Yep.
Have fun. Marion Barry's in charge.
I need to watch that again.
You just fly over with helicopters and sprinkle crack on them. have Dave Chappelle. I just sprinkle some crack on him.
I've been totally away from the news for the most part for the last week, but I saw that something was going around about Elon's dad being a perv with his stepdaughter or adopted daughter or something. Yeah, I don't know, man.
From what I understand, that he was fairly abusive. I don't know. That was something that I watched and saw. I don't know if there's any validity to it. But they said that he grew up in a pretty bad situation, which it's weird. You see people that have motivation to do the things that he's done, and a lot of times that's the case.
Yeah.
But they said that he's not the best dude either. But I don't know. I don't know the guy.
I don't either.
I think his tweets are fucking hilarious.
Oh, they're great.
I mean, God, when he put that one out about Bill Gates, the pregnant dude. I mean, how good is that? I mean, Bill Gates, though. You look at that dude. I mean, talk about an unassuming psychopath.
Yeah.
Why in the world would his wife divorce him after all that time?
She knew something.
You're damn right she did.
I want to know what's her name?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
They've already tried to put a hit out on her once, you know.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, no, they tried to pay one of her cellies to put a hit on her.
Wow.
Yeah, and then she came out. She tried to do a little cooperation, I guess. But they're just, I don't know. They're gonna wait on. They can't do anything to her. They got to keep her whole, because if they do, then it's all out of the bag.
They need to take her to Geneva and have an interview with Geraldo or something.
Yeah, keep Geraldo out of it. With Geraldo and Al Capone safe.
Yeah, I remember that when I was a kid.
I do too, man. Everybody was such a big wind up, and that was back in the day when they couldn't just get out of it. It was like, it is like, oh, nothing.
Yeah. Yep.
And then watching him get into it with Dan Bongino, that's hilarious.
Oh,
man.
I saw that.
He called Dan Bongino a punk. It's like, dude, I wouldn't call Dan Bongino a punk, dude. No, that's not a good idea, Geraldo. He might twist your mustache around your head 6 times and bury you with it.
Well, you notice that whenever that happens, they're never in the same room. They're on the split screens or whatever.
Yeah, he's phone tough.
Yeah.
Mr. Phone Tough.
You're a punk. Yeah. Uh-huh.
No, I was laughing about that with there's a couple of clowns out there. Their show's called The Vanguard. And I haven't gone at them yet. Maybe I will right now. These two knuckleheads, they look like they're little third graders. Like their show is produced like in their mom's basement or something. Mm-hmm. But it's Gavin. Okay, anybody named when your name's Gavin. All right, okay, Gavin. I've never taken. I don't think I even know anybody. If you look through my phone contacts, I don't think there would be a Gavin on there.
Yeah, I've got one.
Gavin, Travis, Travin. They put just weird. I mean, how weird? I've heard some really weird ones with the IN. And if there's a name with the IN on the end, it's like, okay, this guy's a punk.
I'm really bad at judging people based on their names from bad experiences with people with the same name, and I shouldn't do that.
Well,
it's almost like
it leaves a scar.
It does. It really does.
I've always thought of Richards in that manner.
I'm not even going to mention names.
And there's a guy that I've been watching quite a bit of. His name's Jackson Hinkle. He's a young man. He's like 22 years old. He's come out with a really great show. I mean, he's done the homework on Ukraine. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's been on top of it. Like he has, his show's called The Dive with Jackson Hinkle. He's been, the one reason, here's how I can tell you that this kid is on point. PayPal and Venmo have banned him, so he can't get paid through them, right? He's tried not to have any advertisement because he doesn't want to sell himself out. And then he recently was demonetized from YouTube. So he can't get him. He's permanently demonetized because he's come out and said different things about Ukraine. So this Gavin and this Zach, the one he's a squirrely headed little turd that he's always got butthole mouth. Anytime you hit pause, he's always got this. You can tell body language with people, right? Like, I'll pull him up here. You can take a look at these two idiots. So they've trashed Jimmy Dore. They've trashed Tulsi Gabbard. They've trashed Jackson Hinkle. They've got Kyle Kalinske is now teamed up with and then so the other day I hit him up, right? They came out and they put out a show and they said, well, basically they came out and said that pretty much we're muckrakers. Mm-hmm. We're just going to talk shit just to talk shit, and it's our First Amendment right to do so. And so I said, well, great, that's fantastic. I'm glad you finally came out and said who you are. Now we all know. I was like, I've watched your show here and there, trying to figure out what it is you guys are doing, and now I know what you're doing. And, I think Jackson Hinkle is he's a well-spoken youngster. I mean, at 22 years old to be doing what this kid's doing, it's pretty impressive. And then you've got these nitwits, and they call themselves the Vanguard. And if you go back and you look at where that term came from, it was avant-garde, which, it meant like in France back then, it was like those were the guys that are out leading the way into the battle. Mm-hmm. These two turds, I mean, I swear to God, one of them is in his, in his mom's basement. One of them's in a laundry room. They're not even in the same place. And they just talk shit. They just, and now Kalinske, look at this production value right here. I mean, look at these turds. I mean, what is this? I've got better production value, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I mean, we're sitting here in my studio that I built. Look at and they got a van. They got a van, for fuck's sake. There's their van. Mm-hmm. I'm not showing this to everybody. Van. We're just looking at this because they go after Kim Iverson. Kim Iverson is one, and this turd.
Who's Kim Iverson?
She is now on. She's actually working with The Hill. She did have her own show. She came up in radio, like in Cleveland back in the day. She is a self-made person that. I mean, she's been through it. She's gone from being a nobody to. She had her own thing going. I've talked to her a number of times via email. Mm-hmm. Initially, when I started the show, she was going to come on, but she advised me. She said, "Mike, until you get it all like squared away to where your production is right," she goes, "If I come on there and she's like, it's going to blow up, and are you ready for it?" And I'm like, "Well, I said you're probably right." And so but then she ended up, she kind of, she came up a little bit, I guess, and ended up on The Hill. As far as I'm concerned, and I've told her the same thing. I'm like, you're the best reporter that they have on. I think. Crystal Ball and Cigar, they left, and they have Ryan Grimm and Opie or whatever the other kid's name is. But they come after her and they tell her that she's transphobic, right? This guy here, this I don't know who this idiot is.
Is she the one that was on Fox once, and they were like, they did a little piece with her?
Maybe she's possibly been on Fox. I'm not positive about that or not, but she did have her own show. And when I started, she gave me a lot of good advice, and she was cool. She was like I always enjoyed watching her show, and so I hit her up. I was like, "Hey Kim, I was like, I've always enjoyed your take on things," because she, she's one of these people that comes from, she's just objective. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need more of.
Yeah.
And you've got these turds, these fucking tallywhackers. I don't even know what they're talking about now. And then they bitch that they don't have anybody, like, they're not making any money. They got 7.4 thousand views. If you just took a little time in your production here, look at the background. You just got a yellow, but what are you in your van? The Vanguard. Can you picture these two in the front of the charge?
Down by the river.
I'm just going to pull them up anyways. I'm going to put them on blast. Fuck them. These guys are turds. As far as I'm concerned. Come at me, bro. Come at me, Gavin. Come on, Gavin. You look like the Vanguard. They're in the screen. The Vanguard guy. That's great. Look at this guy. He's jamming. He's got a third grade haircut. Hawaiian shirt on. As Homer said, Bart, there's only two types of guys that wear Hawaiian shirts. Big fat party animals or gay dudes. You don't look like a big fat party animal to me. And then you got butthole head. Oh, hey, ooh, that's nice.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Vanguard. Oops, I'm all the way back here. Got to move a little bit closer to the camera. Get all up close and personal with you guys. But yeah, what's up, everyone? How's it going, Zach?
Gavin wants to make sure you can see his nostril hairs in his camera. No, I'm kidding. Glistening in the camera light. No. Doing good today, everybody. Super excited to be back in studio. Got an awesome show coming up. Going to be talking about the potential, not even really potential, the dare I say confirmed run for president by Donald Trump in 2024. Got a great Dr. Oz John Fetterman clip to react to. Going to talk a little bit about some more Nomiki Khan drama, some malding, some coping on the internet, and all kinds of shit. Got a special announcement too. But before we kick that off, I know we got to do a shout out to the Patreon. Yeah, huge shout out to the patron community. You guys know how we do things here at the Vanguard. We like to shout out our patrons at the beginning and end of every single live stream. So huge shout out to you guys. Thanks so much for the support. If you're interested in joining the patron community and having a spot of your own up here on the shout out screen, then hit up that link in the description. It's patreon.com/the Vanguard channel, and it's going to be found in the description of this stream, just like all of our video and live content. So again, hit that up if you enjoy the show, if you like the content we create, want to see more of it, want to help us out. That's a great way to do it, because as we always say, we would not be able to do the show without you guys. Your support makes the Vanguard 100% possible. So sincere thank you from Zach and I for the support. Really goes a long, long way. But yeah, Zach was mentioning we have an awesome show for you guys today. We got some real juicy drama coming from the Nomiki Khan campaign in New York. As you said, Zach, she's cooping and seething like a motherfucker. We also have an interesting story about Trump 2024 primary shaping up. And last but not least, at the end of the stream, we'll be making a big channel announcement. So make sure to stick around for that. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be really exciting. Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to, Ethan or Cannonball? What are you thinking for story numero uno?
I don't know. I think he was...
I don't know. Well, I suppose we could start by talking a little bit about Donald Trump, who appears to be rearing his ugly head once again, as we all suspected, for the 2024 GOP primary. Lots of Republicans are probably going to run, whether or not Trump actually does jump in. But a lot of them, I believe, were holding out hope that he would not. And he may have shattered some of those hopes the other day, as this article came out, where Trump is quoted as saying, "I've already made that decision about 2024, and that it's a matter of when, not if, he'll formally..."
I know it's still coming through.
I think they probably wear all black and have Antifa.
I don't know I don't even know if they even could, come up with that.
Did you see that Antifa guy get hit by a car?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez. I want to find that one I was telling you about with the dude that comes out with his AR and those fucking bozos are trying to steal his fucking BMW, and he comes out of there, man. The dude's like 6'6", just like,
yeah.
They're plinking at him, and the dude's like, they're not even. I mean, that's what I was thinking about with that jackass kid that that you've seen. I would imagine the whole thing in Uvalde.
Oh my gosh, I saw the whole thing the other night.
What a fiasco that was.
Have you seen the footage?
Yeah, oh yeah. I've been paying very close attention to it on a daily basis. I mean, my point of view on the whole thing was, you know what, dude? I would have gone in there with a fucking pen in my hand, because that fucking punk coward, he had no training.
Yeah.
He would have shit his pants if a man had come in there and come at him, just walking at him in a, like with a business-like gait, like, I'm taking you down. Like, he would have sat there and shook. And, I mean, you can sit there and shoot little kids.
Yeah.
That's great. But, and then those punk asses sat out there in that hallway for 77 fucking minutes.
I knew that for a long time, but to actually see the footage of the hallway,
it's disgusting.
Broke my heart. I would have died that day gladly.
They should have just let the parents go in.
Yeah.
Because the parents would have gotten out of there with, a lot less dead children.
Well, why didn't they fire something into the window, even like tear gas
exactly.
or something?
The kid was outside firing into the windows in other classrooms when he was going up to it. I mean, and then the resource officer drives right by him and thinks that a teacher is the active shooter.
Yeah.
If you're the resource officer at a little school like that, you know the teachers by sight.
Oh, yeah.
If they're within, that. I mean, you're not thinking that's a shooter.
No.
He drives right by that. There were just too many coincidences in that thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a such thing as coincidence.
No.
You know, sometimes there's one. You know, maybe you'll have one. But this one was just way too many. The fact that the door wasn't even locked, and they sat there and waited for that key, and then they tried the key on a different door. It's like, get your ass up there and kick that thing down. You got firearms. I mean, you can get through a damn hollow metal door with firearm.
Well, and they had contact with some of the people inside on the cell
phones.
The
one girl called 3 times, and,
then
and then the third time she called 911. They said their radios didn't even work down there. The chief didn't even have a radio.
Wow.
There was a recording of him like saying, "Get me a radio." You know, he didn't even have a radio. And they said that they've had an issue with the radios. They don't even have them that work. I mean, if ever there was a prime example of why we need to have armed, trained individuals inside the schools.
Yeah.
I mean,
totally
Hollywood jerk-offs get armed guards. Musicians, politicians, they all have armed security. I mean, if we're going to guard our treasures, then what's a bigger treasure than our children?
Nothing.
And you can't tell me that that's going to put people. I mean, if you have a gun-free zone sign outside, or as you do in Cody, Wyoming, when you walk up to a school, the sign says, "This school has armed, trained individuals inside this facility." And I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, if you see gun-free zone. And I don't understand the mentality of these.
That's advertising for those,
right? I
monsters.
mean, and I don't understand these punks, anyways. I mean, it's like, if you want to die, if you want to, you know, I mean, why not just go out and go face off with the police?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what you're trying to do, why not just do that? Go see how far that gets you. Not that I'm bringing that on the police officers, but you know, if that's what you want to do, then man up and take it to another man. I mean, you know, you want to be an outlaw. I mean, what is the point of this? I'm going to go kill a bunch of kids and then get suicided by a cop, and then I'm going to have, I mean, what is...
Well, and that Chicago kid, like...
That one's really weird.
Yeah, it really is.
The dad...
Yeah.
The first thing he did was just try and...
defend himself.
Right. He didn't. He said, "I'm not guilty of anything." It's like, dude, you had a kid that had the police show up at your house twice in 2019. One time for a suicide call. The other time he threatened to kill the entire... He said, "I'm going to kill everybody." They confiscated 16 knives, a dagger, and a sword from him. And then the dad goes out and signs off on that federal ID card for him to get firearms. And he goes, "I just signed the thing." It's like, you got a kid he's putting those videos out? Now, I get banned. I get banned one time for 1 week, right? I get banned for a week because I speak about my experience with the second time I got COVID. So I get banned for a week for that. The next time, I cite an accredited study from a Swedish university, Lund University, and I have all the documentation. It's all right there. It's accredited, and it's talking about something that has gone on in a medical study. I get banned for 2 weeks for medical misinformation, and you've got this kid putting out that sick-ass video of his. Yeah. And you know what? My son had seen that video. He was over here with a friend, and I called him in here. I said, "Hey, come in here." I said, "Here's the deal." I said, "I'm going to play this video of this kid that did this." And I said, "Here's what I'm asking you guys." I'm like, if you guys see or hear anybody that you're in school with putting shit like this out there, saying shit like this, I said, you don't got to tell them, but you need to tell me. I said, you need to tell me, and I will deal with it. But if you have a feeling about somebody in your school, if you have because that's what they said. They said with that kid, a lot of people were like, something was off with it. And it's like, if you feel off about somebody, you need to let somebody know. And they've had issues here. They've had, threats and different things. And everybody in this town's got a gun. Yeah. And that's where it happens, is in small towns. For some reason, I don't know why, and it's...
Well, I wonder if they're doing this on purpose.
Well, it makes you wonder, because every one of these, like, okay, the kid down in Texas, he was known, right? Yeah. The kid in Buffalo, he was known. The kid in Chicago, they were all known to authorities. You cannot tell me that didn't get down to the FBI.
I still can't figure out the Buffalo one either because I've seen.
And there's nothing that's coming.
I've seen his point of view on it on video.
Yeah.
Where that.
Did you read his manifesto?
I didn't.
I never was able to find it. I asked for it over and over. I even called out there to Buffalo, and I said I want to see this because I have a son that's 14 years old, and I said I want to know what this behavior is because if I can identify this especially if I were to see that in him or any of his friends or anything like that, that's how we get out in front of it is by knowing what our kids are doing and what they're thinking. And for them to blame Tucker Carlson for it was absolutely asinine. Did you see the photo that I put up that was photoshopped when they were arresting him?
Was it the clown shoes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should pull that up. If I still have, I'm going to see if I can find that and pull it up just so you can take a look at it because trust me, I do enough stuff with editing photos and putting stuff together that it's totally obvious what this thing is. And maybe it was a photo of them taking him away. I can't say for sure, but I mean,
I think there's something way more sinister at play going on right now with all these shootings than when Columbine happened.
I think so too.
I think they found something that works for a cause that they're pushing.
Well, you know what that cause is.
Yeah, we do.
We both know what that is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'll pull it up later.
I just wish that the number one thing was keeping all the kids safe.
Well, I do too. Oh boy, what did I do? I took us to a bad place. There we go. We're back.
Oh.
Anyway, I'll find it later.
All right.
But yeah, no, it's just weird that all these, the kid in Buffalo, he'd already had an issue with law enforcement for having, threatened to do these type of things. The kid in Texas had been arrested at 14.
Was he?
Yeah, he was arrested at 14 because him and another friend of his, they had said that they were going to do this when they graduated from high school.
Yeah, I remember there was some chatter about that, and then they just quit talking about that.
Yeah, they took both him and they took him in, and they took him to like the psych ward, and it makes you wonder, are these Manchurian candidates?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the kid in Texas shoots his grandmother in the face.
And why haven't we heard from her?
And why did she go across the street to use a phone?
Yeah.
And then to find out that there was a cop that could have shot him before, and he called to ask permission. You got a dude going into a school with a fucking gun.
He just shot at those funeral home guys.
Yeah, and he calls he radios in to ask for permission. Dude, you got to pull the trigger on that one, dude.
Yeah.
You got to, who cares what kind of trouble you might get in if you shoot a dude that's got a gun going into a fucking school that's already popped off shots and shot an elderly woman in the face and stolen a vehicle.
Yeah.
And he's going into a school with all that gear. Where did he get the money? That's $5,000 worth of shit that he had.
Gosh.
That one AR that he had, it was a $2,000 AR.
And he wasn't making much money.
He was a burger punk. He worked part-time at Wendy's. He didn't obviously have his own vehicle because he took his grandmother's truck. If he'd have had his own vehicle, he'd have had all his gear staged out in that vehicle. I mean, I think the reason he shot his grandma in the face was so he could steal the truck.
Well, there was some girl from Germany or something.
Yeah, that he'd been on some chat room with her, and he'd shown pictures of him killing cats and shit.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I told my son and friends. I said, you see anybody killing domestic animals?
Mm-hmm.
Like around here, it's one thing. People go out and shoot rabbits and small game and deer. I mean,
that's how Jeffrey Dahmer started.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly, man. And a lot of these guys have started. That's the first sign right there.
Yeah.
If you're killing a domestic animal, I have a cat. I don't like cats.
Yeah,
I keep my cat alive.
Yeah, I think it has to do with power and control. I think
so too,
yeah.
And I think what it is too is it's a narcissistic, sociopathic kind of mentality. I think that like that kid in Chicago or north of Chicago. He grew up in that's not even Chicago.
Man, that kid was a freak. Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
man.
did you watch that music video that he did?
I did. I saw it.
Dude, was that not disturbing as hell?
I saw.
I mean, that came out in 2018.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was out there until the day that it was out there until the day he did this.
Was that over the 4th of July or something? I think
it was on the 4th of July.
It was, yeah.
It was the 4th of July parade.
I didn't know what was going on. I woke up and one of my friends messaged me the video, so I didn't know what that had to do with anything. And then the news, I turned the news on and saw that it happened again.
But he had the one video where he had the animation of, there was I'm assuming it was him laying in a puddle of blood with a rifle.
Yep.
And the cops standing over. And then, did you see what they found on the side of his mom's house?
No.
The mom is a nut too. I mean, they figured out that he had gone there. Okay, now here's this one. You're going to get a kick out of this perspective because I thought about this after it all went down. Mm-hmm. That Cavalli, and I think he's done a great job. That police chief.
The guy that came out and did the presser.
Yeah, I think he's done. I think he's going places. And I don't think he's going places because he's trying to. I think it's because he's honest and he seems like a really forthright and righteous dude. Mm-hmm. But the dude comes down off that rooftop, okay? Now, this is a small town. It's not that. It's only 12.2 square miles, Highland Park is. It's a richer neighborhood. He's up on the top of a building. He pops off 70 rounds. He's got to change clips. I think they said he changed clips three times, right? If you got 30-round clips, which is what I think he had. So you got to change 3 to get 70 out, right? So, this kid is obviously he's not that well, he's not trained. I don't know. I haven't heard of him spending time at ranges or anything like that. I think he just lived in that apartment at that house, and he had money coming to him because, and like I said, to be honest, his production quality of his music video was really, if it wasn't so creepy, he did a fairly decent job. Yeah. He turned that room into, there was a lot of money that went into that. He had lockers that opened up. That kid, somewhere he's getting money and to buy 5 handguns. Yeah.
Those are each probably, I don't know what kind of guns that
he had. A Kel-Tec 2. He had a Remington 1700. He had a Remington 700. He had a Glock, I think a Glock 17. And then he had 2 other firearms. And so his dad had greenlit.
So that's like 4,000 or 5,000.
He had 5 firearms, and his dad greenlit all of them. And then he sits there and says it's not his fault, and he doesn't share any responsibility for any of it.
Yeah, just signed the card. Anyone can sign the
card. And then the brother, the uncle. Mm-hmm. Did you see him? He was like Lenny from. He couldn't talk, and
they look a little inbred.
The uncle, he looked like a
wide set eyes.
And he had a weird, like munched up face and a Kool-Aid hair and
it's not a rapper that I would be interested in listening to. No.
But the crazy thing is, my kid had heard him. I put it up there and he goes, "Oh, I've heard this guy." I'm like, "What?" Oh, he had over like 1 million views. Man. So that shit stayed up there on YouTube. Spotify only pulled it off after they found out about the massacre that he pulled off. It was on Spotify, it was on YouTube, and I get pulled off and banned and shadow banned because I put out medical misinformation when I cite a study that is authentic and legit. And then when I talk about my personal experience with with a virus, and I when I talked about that, I said, "Listen, I'm not telling anybody, I'm not giving anybody any medical advice. I'm telling you what my experience was. And I'm telling you how I handled it and how I went through it." And I get bing, and then you got this guy who's talking about doing this shit and they just leave it up there. So there is something sinister going on there. Yeah. How does this, they say that's an algorithm. It's a pretty shitty algorithm if you leave something like that up there. That video, when I saw it, man, just thinking about it right now, I don't ever want to see it again.
They don't, I know that they don't use the word suicide on Facebook anymore. They have a new way of saying it because of flagging. I can't remember how they said it.
What do they call it? A self-killing, an anti-birthing person? A reverse birthing person?
It's weird. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I was chatting about it the other day with somebody.
I mean,
say what it is.
It's a reverse birthing person.
Yeah, we have all these bots that are picking up everything, and it's deciding what we can say, and a lot of truth is lost.
It's a post birth abortion.
Right.
Maybe that's what they're called. A post birth self abortion.
Yeah.
God damn it! Why'd they get rid of Roe v. Wade? Wasn't that covered in there? Probably in trouble now. Allegedly. That's just allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
I think that kids are not given consequences in school like we were, and I think that has a lot to do with what we're seeing. Because I work at a school, and I'll tell you what, I've seen some really good kids at this school, but I've seen some kids do some really jerk moves.
Yeah.
Where they should be something, but what they do is they just say, you have to eat lunch in the principal's office today. You know?
Yeah. And
I was scared if I did certain things because I'm at the end of Mel Faber's
there was times I got my ass whooped 3 times in a day.
Yeah.
The teacher, like my 4th grade teacher in particular, he had a paddle. He'd whip your ass, and then he'd send you down to Faber's office, and he'd whoop your ass, and then you get home, and Dad would come home, and he'd whoop your ass.
Yeah.
I mean, there was times when the Charmin didn't even cut it, man. You know, I mean,
and I'm not saying I want anyone to put hands on kids or anything, but but there's got to be some sort of consequence because when they get out in the real world, what are you going to do?
Look at Hunter Biden. That's what you're going to be. You're going to be Hunter Biden because he operates with impunity. There was a guy on Gutfeld earlier that they were talking about his behavior, and somebody was, kind of, advocate saying, well, he was in that accident. He lost his mother, his sister, his brother died. Mm-hmm. Of course, then he went and diddled his dead brother's widow.
His sister.
That's high ethics and morals. And they said, one person said, well, he's been through a lot, maybe, blah, 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 blah. It's like, but if you look at it and if you put the shoe on the other foot, if he was a black dude that was weighing out 21 grams of crack cocaine, putting it out there for everybody, and left a laptop at some place that cited all his prostitution and nonsense and criminal activity, I know guys that have gone away to prison for a lot of years for less than what he's done. I mean, he lied on that background check. He lied about that. That's punishable by 10 years and $250,000 fine. He's been able to get away with whatever he wants because everybody's felt sorry for him.
Even if you had OJ's team, you'd still be screwed.
And everybody's felt sorry for little Hunty, and even then you got the voicemail that Joe left saying, "Oh, I think you're in the clear." Did you hear that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says that article that came out online, I think it's good. It's going to be released in the Times. I think you're in the clear.
But let's worry about Russian collusion from...
Well, let's allocate another $70 billion to send over there to neo-Nazis.
How much money? How much money have we spent on this nonsense? That
when $20 billion would eradicate homeless in this country. It would end it. And granted, there's going to be people that are mentally ill that are not going to want to come in from the streets. You're going to have that.
Yeah.
A lot of those are going to be veterans.
Yeah.
And so what about their mental health? And I was talking to a law enforcement officer here in Cody a couple weeks ago, and I asked him about what his take was on Uvalde. And I said, I know you guys here in this town. I said, and I know what you guys would do in this situation. And, and then I asked him about, a number of things with vets returning home and the mental health issues and things like that. And he'd done 2 tours in Iraq. Mm-hmm. And he said a lot of it is survivor's remorse. Guys that were over there and they'd watched their best friend get blown up and they lived. And, and his personal take on it was, I don't know how you could be that way because, if your homeboy was still here or could talk to you, would say, hey, snap out of it and go live your life,
Yeah.
But, they're not. And, I just asked, I said, what is it? I said, you did 2 tours. What is it that makes 22 returning veterans every day, off themselves?
Yeah.
That's a it's like those individuals. I mean, if it's such a, if you're going to do, you're going forth to pursue a noble and virtuous, endeavor. You're going to be a hero if you're going to, the people that say freedom isn't free and support our troops. Well, yeah, okay. Support our troops. Bring them home.
Yeah.
Get them out of these. We need to stop this shit.
Well, I was afraid we were going to end up in this conflict right now.
Well, we're in it. We're in it by proxy.
We are.
We're in it by proxy.
I was afraid there would be boots on the ground. The way he was posturing.
Well, there's 300,000 NATO troops that are ready to roll on high alert, and there's 42,000 right there on the Russian border right now.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of ours.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of our training. That's a lot of our weaponry. That's, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I've seen a lot of selfies with the president, with celebrities.
Did you see him
Nancy
give
Pelosi?
Oh, God.
Kind of. Well, I don't know if she was there, but I know that there were people like her there.
Did you see him give the fist bump to the Crown Prince?
I did see that. That was beautiful.
And then you go back and you listen to what he had to say in 2019 when he was grandstanding, starting to do his partial campaign before he went into the basement.
I want to actually talk to a real person. A real person who actually believes in what's going on right now, and I want to understand why.
Right.
I've never met anybody. I haven't talked to a lot of people from the left about this. But
I have.
How can you honestly tell me that he's doing a good job and that he's?
I don't know. 62% said that they hope that he does. 62% of his own party.
Yeah.
And then he gets called out on that by a journalist the other day, and he just does one of his old man get off my grass.
I heard you say that part, and I wanted to look it up, and I couldn't find it.
I couldn't find it. It's hard to find. It took me a long time to find it because I was looking it up, and that's the thing. You can get on there and you can find anything from CNN, MSDNC, CNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, but it's very difficult to find anything that's having to do with him. Now, it was out there for a while, but they get on it and they take it out. Oh, hey, look. Well, we came up on the feed. We're live.
Nice.
Hey, look at that. We're guys like us. And then you got Cheney. She's something else.
Oh, my gosh.
The Dems are funding her. See, here's my prediction on Liz Cheney. She's not going to win Wyoming.
No,
there's no way.
She's down 20 points.
There's no way. The people in Wyoming are not having it because we're not a bunch of saps.
I saw a lot of signs for her around the high school, though. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, I'm sure it was all the high school kids. They're probably getting inundated with that shit from the teachers. Yeah. I was just trying to find this. Oh God, he's got so many. I don't know. But yeah, he just threw a fit. And he's like 92% said they'd vote for me, or said they want me to run. And the question was, the question was posed as if it was Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, and this is a question posed to the Democrats: who would you vote for? Mm-hmm. What do you think they're going to say? None of them are going to say Donald Trump.
No.
And Trump's already. He basically came out when he did that rally in Alaska and said that he was going to run. And he's just sitting back. He's making a smart move. I don't know.
During his first election, I went back and forth quite a bit because.
Well, you were anti-Trump quite a bit.
I was, but I wasn't, and then I was, and then I wasn't. I admit that. But after having him for a term, I liked him a lot. Actually, I thought that he said a lot of stupid gaffes, but not like this one. At least, and his policies were pretty damn good. I don't know one thing Biden has done that I can agree with. I'm sure there's.
I can't. I don't.
Might be the ice cream that he.
See, and you go and you pull this up. This angry Joe Biden is what Joe Biden getting angry. That should come up with these are 2 years.
Yeah.
They don't put anything up that's recent. This happened 4 days ago. Here he is, right here. And I don't know who this is.
Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, she's something else, isn't she?
Oh, her eyes. She's crazy, man.
Oh, yeah. No, did you see that one where she's like, I think I'm going to get me a beer.
Yeah.
I was like, What are you doing? You are a Harvard fucking professor, and you're saying get me it's like she made $400,000 in a semester for teaching one class.
Yeah.
As a Native American female.
Pocahontas. That cracked me up so much.
Dude, and that's the funny thing about Trump too. Every nickname that he gave somebody, fucking stuck. I'm not bragging, but I have a knack for doing that too. Like if I throw a nickname at somebody, usually it's like, it's like a dart in the face and it's not coming out.
I loved it when he was throwing them on his Republicans that he was going against.
I mean, it was funny too. He said, if you go back and there's a lot of compilations out there now of the funny shit that he said, and you just go,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't know. I wasn't for or against. I mean, I was definitely not for Hillary. I can certainly say that.
Oh yeah, she's terrifying.
And I will say I was very happy. I was, when Trump won, when I realized that night, I stayed up until it was official, and I was laughing my ass off because I thought that night of that election, I thought I was like, God, this is just gonna suck. I'm like, fuck, we got 4 years of fucking Hillary. Oh, God. And then it's like, holy shit. Oh, like he's picking up states, and you're going, oh, that was a swing state he just got.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking on paper and shit. I'm like, what? You know, and then it was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could have seen her. I wish there was a camera in her
She
room.
was so drunk and so fucking pissed that she was just screaming and yelling.
I read a book from a guy that was a Secret Service guy.
The book that
during her husband's and she took a priceless vase and threw it at Bill or what.
They stole the fucking toilet seats out of the White House when they left too.
Yeah,
I mean, what kind of Arkansas hill jacks are these? You know,
I'd be okay with that though. If
you can have the toilet seat, just go away.
Take the bed. I don't care if Lincoln slept in that. You ruined it.
Leave with it. All right, I think this is gonna show it.
Working from home for so long that the highlight of my day is when the mail comes. Yeah, it's that bad. Joe Biden can't escape his poor poll numbers.
Hopefully
Just before his trip to the Middle East this week, a reporter asked Biden what he made of a new New York Times poll that showed that about 2/3 of people who plan to vote in the 2024 Democratic primary wanted someone other than him as the party's nominee. Here's what he said.
Mr. President, what's your message to Democrats who don't want you to run again?
They want me to run.
2/3 say they don't.
Read the polls, Jack. You guys are all the same.
Look at the psycho look on his face.
Showed that 92% of Democrats, if I ran, would vote for me.
He's just evil.
Well,
did you see that anger?
Get sensitive much? And that 92% wasn't quite measuring what Biden seemed to say it was, but more on that in a minute. Biden's visit.
I'm just going to cut this off because I don't want to be seen as a.
I remember when you said like you feel sorry for him, and I was kind of like that too. But you know, I think that he's way evil. I
don't even know what I don't know what happened to him in the 50 days that he was in the basement. Because he came, if you look at and I've shown people this before, and some people argue and some people agree with me, but if you look at pictures of him post-election, and then you look at pictures of him on Inauguration Day, and then you look at the pictures of him after.
Oh, he looks
he looks, on Inauguration Day, he looks like the same Joe Biden that was in office with Obama.
Mm-hmm.
But pre and post, I mean, I've meant to make a meme of that and just pull up the pictures. I've just pulled up random ones, you know? And we can even do that right now. We've got the technology.
Do a time lapse.
I mean, I can go, images. I mean, really, it doesn't take much here. I've done this a million times. I should have just made a meme of it. But it was like all of a sudden he showed up, and like I said, it looked like somebody grabbed his scalp and pulled it back on a ball, and then, like when you whack that Tyvek onto the side of a house, like took one of those staplers, those whack. And,
shrunken head.
So, I love the one where he goes, I'm with Joe Biden, I'm running for Senate.
Yeah.
Check me out. If you like, give me a look. If you don't, vote for the other Biden. And then that Ronnie Jackson that was the physician for George Bush Jr., Obama, and Trump,
mm-hmm.
he came out and put out a tweet when Biden said that. He said, he might need to go in for a cognitive evaluation.
Yeah.
And Obama chastised him via email.
Obama's the one who said,
I know, he was the
Joe's
one who
always manages to F something up.
Well, yeah, and he was always like scared of whenever he'd get up and say something.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
this is a big effing deal.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, you've got, you've got this crazy white-haired looking freakoid, and this is not the same guy.
Did you see,
and then you look at him like, let's look at inaugural. Okay, so we got one of these, right? This is prior, okay? This is prior to the election. Because he's got the text united to 303-330-330-330. I'm running for the Senate, and if you like what you see, give me a shot. If not, vote for the other Biden. Hunter? Hunter's probably more qualified to be president than he is.
Oh, well, he's the smartest person that Joe knows. So,
well, he's had more visceral experience, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So we got this one, okay? This is Onion Head. This is prior. These are all pre-election. Okay, we'll just pull these up for everybody to have a little look at it. Here we go. Okay, there he is, pre-election. Everybody get that burned in your skull. And then we'll go.
Remember when Trump was pushing for him to take a drug test because he thought he was doing cocaine.
Yeah.
He was kind of right.
Who knows what he's doing?
Yeah.
Who knows if he's even a guy? I mean, who knows? I don't know. I'm not putting out it. I mean, okay, so then we look at let's see, these are kind of goofy ones. There's a couple of them in particular, like this one right here with him and Jill. Okay, is that guy? This is on Inauguration Day right here. Look at this guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna pull this up on the screen just so people can see it. Okay, look at this guy. Is that guy? This guy? Is this guy? That guy?
I don't know.
Look at the I mean, there's a lot of difference there.
Maybe somebody came in with an airbrush.
But then after the inauguration, he looks back to be like, look at this guy,
I thought he looked older.
Okay. These are like different. I mean, is this at the inauguration or is this at some other speech that he gave?
Same tie.
Yeah. Where'd that other? And then you look at him over here. This is the one right here, though. This one I mean, look at that. And is this guy that guy? I mean, that's the same day, right?
Wow.
That guy right there, the same tie, same everything. That's the inauguration. Look at
that is different,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think
it looks like it.
He's got completely different hair. His facial features are different. His chin is different.
There's more of an extreme comb back in the one on the right
and he looks like he used to look.
Yeah.
But then you look over here and it's like, well, what's this guy? I don't know who this is. There he is over there. He looks, I mean, I don't know, man.
I think we've been duped.
I don't know. It's weird. I mean, look at this guy. And I mean, is this guy? I don't know. I mean, if I was to say, okay, here's a good one right here. Got him right on. That's the same angle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, he's wearing the same suit and tie, but look at his wife. She's got a blue pantsuit or whatever. Where do these women get these get-ups? I mean, what is the big ball? What is that? It's like, are you trying to look like Jackie Onassis? It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's what I was going to get to. I meant to bring this up earlier, and I'm sorry I'm going to get off point, but okay. Ketanji Brown Jackson asked to define a woman, couldn't do it.
Right.
Bobby Cremo fires off 70 rounds, kills 7 people, injures 40-some individuals, dons the clothing of a woman, and everybody made sure that they denoted that he was wearing women's clothing. Now, if we have a Supreme Court justice that can't define what a woman is, then how can you say that that's women's clothing? What's women's clothing? If we can't define what a woman is, how can we define women's clothing?
It's all just to confuse everybody.
But everybody, law enforcement, everybody, the news, everybody said he donned women's clothing to get away. Well, who are they to say what women's clothing is? We have a Supreme Court justice on the highest court of the land that can't define what a woman is. And we have people testifying at House Judiciary Committee, sessions that say that men can get pregnant and have abortions. I didn't know about that, but I mean, so now, okay, so if that's the case, then how is it just a woman's choice? If a man can
men can have.
If a man can have a baby and have an abortion, then isn't it a man's choice too now? Isn't it everybody's choice?
It's a big stupid game. They're just trying to. They're trying to.
But
confuse.
Everybody knows though. Everybody knows deep down that that's all bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yet they want to grandstand and play it like it's. If that's actually the truth, then why wouldn't somebody be standing up and saying, "Well, a man has a right to make a decision too, because now men can get pregnant and have abortions."
It's an inside joke that they refuse to leak. It's just like that Colbert episode that we watched.
Yeah.
Where
it is.
Yeah.
It's cognitive dissonance. It's just it's identity politics.
How do you how many times have we won a battle because we confuse people? Or think about Waco. What did they do? What did they do to Waco? They blasted like loud music and lights
or Ruby Ridge or I mean, and nothing comes of that. I mean,
if you confuse the masses, then you come in when they're
the masses are asses.
Disorient,
I had a political science professor in college, Dr. Shaw, and he would always say that. He'd always say the masses are asses, and there is no truer statement.
Oh, yeah.
You can get people to do anything. You really can. I mean, if you're charismatic enough, and if you use the right terminology, and you have, the right things, on your side, you can talk people into doing just atrocious, stupid fucking things.
Yeah. And
I mean, look at what's going on in this country. I mean, look this guy got more votes than anybody in history. Mm-hmm. Allegedly.
We're going through something that's happened before. When we had a pandemic, the Spanish flu.
Yep.
They had the mask mandates back then, but the leadership, I think it was political leaders in the San Francisco area were caught at a boxing match. Guess what? Not wearing masks.
Well, look at Gavin Newsom. He's sitting there with Magic Johnson. And then he says, "I'm not breathing out of my nose."
Yeah.
I mean, and they're talking about him as a possible president. Like, look at this guy here. Okay, this wasn't that long ago.
And he looks like the Joker.
But look at this guy and this guy. I mean, this guy here looks like this guy here, but this fella here. And what's he doing? Why has he's got his, did she change coats?
Yeah.
What's going on? I mean, Joe Biden's unhistoric inauguration, and then.
That's a different.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a different lady. There's
Her
different
hair is
people.
different.
There's different people in the background.
Her hair is more.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
All of it's different. The light is, I mean, he's doing the same thing. His hands even, I mean.
Dr. Jill.
And then look at this photo over here, okay? Look at that. Okay, so what are they doing? Going into the White House? She's wearing the blue. But okay, she's got red on right here.
Oh, I know what happened, dude. She ate one of those breakfast tacos and she got some.
Oh, yeah, the tacos. Yeah. Goddamn tacos, man. They, every time they'll get you.
Yeah.
Look, here we go. Red again. Blue.
Wow.
What is this? What is this? These are both at the inauguration, are they not? Look,
is one of them when they got sworn in for vice president and one for president, or what? I
don't know.
Just to be fair.
That could be. You could be right. That could be correct. I would say this one.
But why did Barack pick him? I'm trying to understand.
Because he had to have a white dude.
Well, he's running the show. We know.
Okay, so here's Hunty. Hunty. 3 SCOTUS justices skip Biden inauguration with COVID concerns. Okay, so that's this is the Biden inauguration.
Look at him. He's withdrawing over there on the side. Poor guy. He needs a fix.
Yeah.
He does not look healthy there.
No. Okay, so that's got to be the inauguration, right? I don't know. That just doesn't. Why she got different colored stuff on?
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything one way or another. I'm just pointing out some little.
It's weird.
There's some differences here.
Yeah. Until we can see a date or what that is,
right?
I'm going to have to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's, and I'm not going to subscribe for $1 even for 6 months for the LA Times. Get the hell out of my face with this shit. I mean, okay. I don't know. She's got the blue, but then there's the one photo, and she's got the. Is that her right there with the red on right there, down in the lower left?
Yeah.
Letter to the oh no, I don't know who that is over there in the red. I don't see his wife anywhere in that picture though. Joe Biden's love letter to the truth.
Oh, there she is. She's on the left in blue.
Okay, there she is. She's in the blue.
The mask on.
Yep, right there. Okay. All right. So what's up with the other picture where there she is in the blue again? But what's up with there she is in the red? Okay, let's see what this is. I mean, maybe he's being sworn in as the. Let's visit this site and see.
Should say what that photo's from.
I mean, it says this is January 3rd. Look at the date, January 3rd, 2021, 9:29 p.m. Associated. That's from the AP. Biden inauguration will have virtual nationwide parade.
That's 2009.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah, it's sworn in as okay during the inauguration. Okay, so okay. That's why we don't go out and get all crazy. It just I mean, but you look at that. I mean, you know, this is a prime example of how far you have to dig into this stuff just to find the truth. Because, I mean, this was written on. I mean, and of course, inauguration was not January 3rd, anyways.
I think they had to add a stock photo because he had a bat in the cave.
Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, right. Yeah. Fucking bats. Well, we got beagles over here. Okay, so all right, it makes sense then. So it all came around, but you know, people don't do what we just did to figure this out either.
No,
you know what I mean. I sit here and do this type of shit all day.
No, we actually do circle back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Yeah, let me reiterate.
Yeah,
where did the White House press secretary start talking with the? Did you notice that the Jean-Pierre, she does the same thing as Jen Psaki. It's just it's like she's like cupping the balls or something. I mean, I know Jean-Pierre isn't into cupping the balls, but
what the heck?
You know.
It's because they know we're going to cringe and look away while they're lying.
Oh, God. It's just the worst to try.
I feel sorry for her, though, because
I do too.
And this
what
is
a
why.
Shit job.
I don't like her because I don't think she's qualified.
Right.
I don't know how she is as a human being. Maybe she's great. But, man, she is so dumb, dude.
She can't. At least Psaki could go off the cuff.
Yeah.
You know, she could look at somebody and she could look away from that stupid folder.
Yeah.
And she could actually, I mean, even if she was just being, you know, let me reiterate, you know, at least she could look at somebody and talk to them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
envy her job at all.
I don't think she's intelligent. I think Psaki is smart, but she's completely evil. And
I do too.
I think, you know, I'm going to say this. I didn't like Obama because I didn't think he was that smart. And I think that, you know, every time he gave a speech, he would do that thing where he'd go, and I think people ate that up and they're like, oh, he's deep in thought.
Right.
No, he's not.
He doesn't know what's, well, and he was off the teleprompter too. They had a way of, I think he had a better staff than Joe Biden has.
Oh,
because
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
Joe Biden's staff
Yeah.
he's just surrounded by bigger idiots than him, and it's quite frankly, it's almost elderly abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy shouldn't be in that position. I mean, and neither should. I mean, Pelosi, Mitch McConnell.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we have how would you say that? A gerontocracy?
Gerontocracy.
Gerontocracy. I mean, look at it. I mean, and then you throw Kamala in the mix, the number 2.
Well, Bush wasn't very bright either,
No, he wasn't, but he had staff and he had people.
Yeah.
And even if he talked about eating bologna sandwiches, he said some really dumb shit.
Yeah.
And he was a war criminal. And I don't care what anybody says. I mean, when he got up there in front of the at that dinner and he's making jokes about looking up his ass to find weapons of mass destruction, and none up there, and they'll laugh. The White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah.
Dude, that's disgusting. You're talking about over 1 million innocent people in Iraq were murdered.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to continue his daddy's oil war.
Well, he was looking for payback from when they tried to kill his dad.
Right, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, perpetuate his daddy's war.
Yeah.
I mean, and the one that I always look at to get perspective is if you look at a picture before and after of Mosul, it was a beautiful city. And just shredded,
Yeah.
Those people that lived there didn't deserve that. And everybody wants to say proud to be an American. Well, why are you so proud? Did you make that choice when you were in your mother's womb? When you said, I'm going to be born in America. No, you didn't. Just like, I mean, would anybody make a decision to be born in Senegal or Somalia if you could actually make that decision? To sit there and for people to grandstand and just think that we have the right to go and just murder people because of manifest destiny or whatever it is that we think we have. It's pretty sickening.
I love our country. I love everything.
I do too.
That we've done right. I don't love what we've done wrong. Of course, we're going to have mistakes. It's so many personalities.
Well, but when you say we, though, you're lumping yourself in with the decisions of people that you had nothing to do with their decision. It's just like when people lump a white person in with slavery. It's like I didn't have anything to do with that, nor would I ever.
That's true.
And so to say and I try to, I use that proverbial we all the time when I'm.
Yeah.
But it's not we.
It's
not you and me. We're not the ones making these. We had nothing to do with any of these calls. You know what I mean?
It's like when the Broncos win.
Yeah.
We had a good game last night.
You were out there, huh? I saw you. I saw you sneak in there at the end of the game. You threw a nice block there. That was Oh, I saw you wearing your jersey down there at the bar. 17 pitchers in.
My dad used to do that. Well, my dad would. My parents would travel a lot, and I remember they'd come back from trips and they'd say, we had a really good time in Hawaii. And I'm like, what's this we shit? I didn't get to go.
Yeah, who's we? That's what I always think too, And I catch myself saying that. I'm like, I do that we, and then I'm like, oh wait, I didn't decide this. And I mean, you find yourself talking about decisions that these oligarchs are making regarding everybody's lives, and none of us have had a say in it.
There's a lot of people in Ukraine that are just trying to go to work every day, and they have nothing to do with any of that crap. And
certainly,
yep.
And there's and a lot of those people that were in the Donbass region had no right to be shelled by neo-Nazi Azov battalion idiots that wanted to take them out because they speak Russian. It would be. And I made this analogy to my son the other night when we were talking about it. I said it would be about the same as us deciding we're going to take out California because you have a large percentage of people that speak Spanish and are Catholic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they did over there in Ukraine. I mean, they were taking those people out because they were Russian Orthodox. They spoke Russian and they identified as. I mean, when you live in an area that's been nothing but conflict, and then they throw up some goofy border, and that's what you have grown up with, and that's how you identify. You speak that language, and you know that's your. I mean, and then you just get they killed 14,000 people from 2014 till now. I mean that's, and I don't, you know, it's hard to say what the truth is over there because 84% of this country didn't even know where Ukraine was when this whole thing started. That's how uneducated this country is.
Money has corrupted like it
Everything.
always has.
It always will.
Yeah, and it always has.
And more so than money, it's power.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't get is the necessity to have the power. It's like we were talking earlier, we all have one thing in common, and that is that we're going to die.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't we want to have everybody that is blessed with having this life that's, you know, and that should be an amazing experience? Why would any of us want to kill somebody prematurely before their life has run its course? I mean, that's what I don't get. It's like, I mean, you know, the two guys that got sentenced to death for fighting for Ukraine, you know, I mean, that's posturing. And why? What is that going to prove? You're going to take these men's lives for what? I mean, there's too many lives that have already been lost in this whole thing, and it doesn't need to be that way. And it all comes down to, I mean, it's money and it's power.
Yeah.
I mean, half of me thinks that if we just said, you know what, get rid of all these governments, wipe away the borders.
Yeah.
People know what to do. I mean, people are going to migrate where they're going to migrate. Let's just go where we're going to go. Let's do what we're going to do. If it's so great in one place, then people are going to end up there. And if it's not so great, then they're going to go someplace else. It's like, you know, and the whole argument with the immigration here, it's crazy because there's no other country on the planet where you can just go and wade across a river and expect to go in and just be given, you know, all the benefits of being a citizen. But, you know, why shouldn't you be able to cross a river? And we took that land from Mexicans anyways. You know?
Except, you know,
I mean, we came over here and took this country from indigenous peoples, and you know,
and Native Americans don't believe in land ownership. They believe that the land owns us.
Well, and I think that that's correct. I mean, I oftentimes think about that. I look at this property and I think, okay, should I be sovereign within my own home? Of course. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Inside my own home, inside my teepee, inside my yurt, inside whatever I live in, sure. But when you think about ownership of land, and you think about how short of a time we're actually here, and how long this earth has been here, and how long it's going to be here afterwards, what gives us the audacity to say, this is mine, and you come on and I'm going to shoot you?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think about it. I mean, it's like, what gives us the right? What gives us the, you know, I mean, I would say that within your domicile, you know, certainly somebody shouldn't be able to just encroach on that.
A couple of years ago, there were stories about drones flying over Colorado. Maybe you heard about that. And
right.
Nobody knew who owned them, if they were serving for oil companies or if it was some punk kid in the neighborhood. But I saw one. Yeah. And I later learned that what they're doing is not illegal because you own your property, but you don't own the airspace. Yeah.
But you also know that in Asia, they do own airspace.
Do they?
And they've done so even in Seattle.
Like private people or the government?
No, people are actually purchasing the air, like the airspace above. Like they did it in Seattle. One of the iconic places to watch a concert in Seattle was the Showbox. Not a big venue, but an iconic Seattle venue. I mean, everybody's played there. And somebody bought the airspace above it. And from what I understand, and I don't know if they've done so yet, but the plan was that they were going to tear down the Showbox and put up a hotel, and it was because somebody had purchased the airspace above it. And so they had, the right to do so, and a lot of the local musicians were protesting it, and it kind of made me sad because I have a lot of good memories at the Showbox. Mm-hmm. It was one of those places where I saw a lot of pretty big name acts there in a private kind of intimate venue. Mm-hmm. And it's sad to see something like that get taken down just because of the airspace, but it's a thing in Asia. It's a thing in China. I mean, from what I understand, I could be wrong again. Remember in Ocean's 13 when they were talking about that, when they were playing that scam? And
I'm the one guy that hasn't seen that.
You haven't seen Ocean's 13?
Or 11.
I didn't like 11. I didn't like 12, but I loved 13.
Yeah?
I thought 13 was great.
I'll check them out.
It was. I don't. The other ones were. There was the one. That's the one series of movies I can think of where the whatever was the third one
is the best, huh?
In my opinion, that's just my opinion.
Right.
I didn't really like the first one. The Ocean's 12 sucked, I thought.
I couldn't stand all those pretty boys back then when it came out.
But yeah, 13 is good though.
But now it's like I like Brad Pitt actually.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of Brad Pitt movies that I like. He's in those, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he was in so many great movies.
Oh man.
And he played some. I mean, incredible. Like when he played. What was his name in California?
Oh man, that
Juliette
movie's
Lewis?
great. Yeah.
Bobby Earl or something like that. What was his name? Elvis, get the fuck out of him.
Oh, man.
This ain't Lucky Lager. I mean, he was a psychopath.
Yeah. Yep.
He was great in True Romance as Floyd.
Yep. The hippie guy.
Yeah. He had smoking out of the honey bear bong.
That one where he's like, what's the fishing movie called? They're in like.
Oh, a river runs through it?
That's a damn good movie.
Yeah, Legends of the Fall.
Yeah.
I mean, great movie.
I think it was the one where he played an Irish, like, I don't know.
Snatch.
No, it was.
He was great in Snatch, though. He was
the Devil's Own. I didn't like that movie. I thought I don't know.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Well, he had a really crappy fake accent, but he's refined a lot.
He was awesome in Snatch.
Yeah, Snatch was good. That came out like in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching scenes from that the other day. That was when Guy Ritchie made some great movies.
Yeah.
He really did. I mean, that was great. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Oh, yeah.
Rock and Rolla. I've always been waiting for the sequel to that to come out, and it hasn't. Rock and Rolla was a great movie. Have you seen that?
I don't think so.
Oh God, you should watch that movie, man. It is good. It's right up there with Snatch, and I mean then he did some other crap that was just nonsensical garbage.
Yeah.
What else did he make? He did Sherlock Holmes.
Did he?
Yeah.
I know that Iron Man, what's his name?
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. That guy's amazing. We're watching Chaplin because my wife's never seen that.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr.'s got quite a story.
Yeah, he does.
He's been through a lot.
He's a cool dude though, man.
Yeah.
I've always liked him.
Yeah, me too, man.
Even when he woke up in someone's house.
Yeah.
He's lucky he didn't get his head blown off for that one, man.
Dude, I've known people that have done.
Didn't he wake up in somebody's kids?
Yeah. We had this. I'm going to tell a funny little anecdote. Oh, I think it's funny. When I was in college, we had a guy show up on a recruitment trip. We wanted him to come play catcher for us. So he comes out for a recruitment trip, and so we proceed to have a big party, to show him a good time because we wanted him on the team. We wanted him to come, play for our team, blah, blah, blah. And we have the house packed. People are going down the stairs. I mean, in this apartment complex, we're just tearing it down that night. And we made a bunch of sip and go naked, which is that, you take like a case of beer and a bunch of vodka and some lemonade concentrate. Ooh. And dry ice, and you throw it in a cooler, and it starts steam. And everybody just goes by with a red Solo cup and dips in there, and so this dude goes outside to take a piss, and he steps in dog shit, right? And he pretty much always wore like Levi's, white T-shirt, black combat boots. This guy that was going to come play catcher.
Oh, and so he made a lawn.
He was from Alaska. He was a hardcore logger fisherman, and so he realized he's got dog shit all over his pants. So he's drunk enough off the sip and go naked shit that he takes the pants off. And now he's walking around in his tiny white. He has his white T-shirt, his dog shitty combat boots, and his red Solo cup. Well, the cops show up. Everybody disbands. He takes off. He's supposed to be staying with these other guys on the team at their house. It's it's a ways away. And everybody leaves. We get rid of the cops, and like, well, that was a good one, and the next morning, this dude that's on the recruitment trip, he wakes up in a backyard, right? He thinks he's at the other house where he's supposed to be staying. So he goes inside. He's still wearing his tighty-whities, his white T-shirt, and his black combat boots. And he goes in the slider in the back door. He goes so far as to even go out on the front patio and grab their paper. Mm-hmm. And he goes in, gets in the fridge, sits down. He's reading through the paper. And then he's looking around and he realizes there's nobody there. And so he sees a phone and he gets on the phone and he calls the number for the house where he's supposed to be staying. Mm-hmm. And Davidson answers the phone and he says, "Hey, man, I'm at your guys' house. Where are you guys at?" And Davidson's like, "You just called our house. So if we're not there, then you're not here." And he starts looking around, man, and he realizes, holy shit.
Oh, no.
And so dude's like, go outside and read the number on the front of the house and find out what street you're on. We're coming to get you. So that's how easily that could happen. I mean, that could have turned very bad on him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
he could still be behind bars.
He could have got he could have picked up a sex offender offense on that.
Yeah.
You go walking into somebody's breakfast and wearing your tighty whities and your dog shit covered boots.
Oh, man.
And he came and played baseball for us the next year, and he was he's a riot, and is still my friend. And that dude this dude lost his thumb. I hadn't seen him in years, right?
Yeah.
Years, and I'm living in Seattle. And we get a call from the train station, and it's him. And we're like, what the fuck? So we go, he shows up at the house, right? And he's lost his thumb. And we're like, guess you're not playing baseball anymore. As long as right. And he's pissed about the thumb, and he starts getting drunk. He was a guy who would get drunk and have one eye start going like all wonky.
No. Yeah.
And so he's getting mad about the thumb. So apparently what he had done he was out on a fishing boat. Some greenhorn had lowered a boom. His thumb was there, cut his thumb off. He had to get helicoptered into some little fishing village. They tried to reattach the thumb. It was too late, but he kept the thumb. He put it in a Glad baggie, in a freezer bag, and he left it at his parents' house in Alaska in the freezer. And so as he's getting drunk and getting more mad about the thumb, he decides he's going to call his dad and check on his thumb. So he's on the phone with his dad, and he's like, "How's my thumb doing?" And we're like, "Dude, this guy's a psychopath." And you can hear him; he just loses it. Like the dad was had thrown it out, and so he was just absolutely beside himself the whole night because he just kept going, "Fuck."
Did his dad know? Or
I think he was just cleaning out the freezer.
He's like, that's got to be.
He's like, I don't know what that is.
That won't microwave, right?
I was like, dude, you can't be mad about that, dude. It's not like you're gonna put it back on your. It was like, and he stayed like one night with us and then just disappeared.
Man, if I lost a finger though, that would be kind of funny though. To maybe if you can't reattach it, just keep it and use it later on.
He was still attached to that thing. He was mad. Like he was literally and then he left, and no one heard from him again. He went down to he'd gotten a settlement from losing the thumb, so he had a bunch of money. He went to Mexico and just disappeared, and then came back, and I don't even know where he's at now. Last I talked to him, I'd just gotten out of prison, and he called me up out of nowhere and was like a financial advisor in someplace.
I'd be pretty ruined if I lost my thumb, dude.
I wouldn't like it very much, but it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Oh, I couldn't play bass.
Oh, well, it depends on which thumb.
Yeah. You
wouldn't want to lose your right thumb, but you could still play if you had a nub on your left hand,
When it was my last year in PAL, I needed to make money because I was going to save up all year so I could move to Denver. That was the plan. And,
how'd that go?
Well, I was talking to this old guy. He was in his 80s, and he told me, go down to J&R Well Service in PAL at 4 a.m. with a lunchbox and tell him you're ready to work. And I was like, well, shit, it won't hurt. So I showed up, and every guy in that lunchroom, they were just looking at me like I'm nuts. And I just said, I'm ready to work.
Yeah.
And they were ready to hire me, dude.
Dude, that's awesome.
They were ready to hire me. And they said, well, we're not going to work you today, so you can take your lunchbox home. And I was like, I just wanted you to know that I'm ready, you know. And so I came in for an interview, and back then, $14 or $15 an hour was a damn good deal, you know. But this,
oh yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, and this lady that interviewed me, she asked me if I like my fingers, and I was like, yeah, and she's like, well, why? And I'm like, well, I play an instrument, and she's like, well, you might want to rethink this job, you know, and that was the end of working the patch.
So you never went out.
No, and I totally was ready to do it. I'm a hard worker, but man, she asked me, "Are you scared of heights?" And I was like, "No." Do you like your fingers? Yeah.
That's an odd question.
It is, but I'm glad she. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the heights. Yeah, I don't mind heights, but I do not like walking on roofs.
I
will climb a ladder. I don't care. I'll climb a 40-foot. I've climbed 2 40-foot ladders chained together. And it's scary as hell, but dude, walking on roofs,
yeah,
I dislike it very much. Like, well, look at that photo over there, that roof.
Oh yeah. I
mean, I just there's something I don't know. I guess I don't have I don't know. My feet don't work on those. It's just not. I just always get really sketchy and feel like I'm gonna fall.
I was scared of heights when I was young, and then I don't know. Cronin and I used to go cliff jumping a lot, so I got over it. But now that I have kids, I don't even like being on a plane because I'm freaked out for my kids, you know? So
it's funny how that works.
I am scared of things that I was not scared of.
Isn't it weird how you make decisions on things? I like we were talking earlier. Like I made the decision not to go see fish because you had prairie dogs that had black plague, and in my mind I'm thinking I can't leave my son.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I make decisions like that all the time. I mean, and it's really hard. I find it hard to leave and go do anything because I think, well, God, and especially now, it's like he's got nobody. But you know, I mean, it's like, what you know, I mean, it's you sit there and you go, God, you're living in fear. But I think that's responsibility too. It's responsibility is what it is. More so than fear, I think. It's like, you know, you understand that there's things that are more important than you. And so you're putting aside perhaps the things that you would have previously wanted to do and realize that I have other things that I have to take care of in life, and I can't, you know, I can't put myself in a position where I'm going to, you know.
When I lost my dad, you know, now I know how that feels, and I don't want my kids to feel what I felt.
Right.
You know?
And the thing is, too, is that we're all going to go through that. And I mean, I've had some pretty heartfelt discussions like that with my son, with, you know, everything that, I mean, there's nothing I can ever do to make that, to make him okay with what he went through.
Right.
You know, and this is, but it's also something that we've talked about. I'm like, look, we all have that coming. We all have that end. You know, what we're here to do is going to end. And I mean, look at the people that went to that 4th of July parade.
Yeah.
You know, look at the people that went to, those kids that went to school, those 2 teachers that got killed in Uvalde, Texas. Look at the people that went to the grocery store. It happens every day.
Yeah.
And it's not just, I mean, we have these incidents that we blow up and for some reason they're important, but there's tons of other incidents that, I mean, if we were to look right now online, I guarantee there's a shooting somewhere today. You know, and it's, I mean, the people taking other people's lives. And I mean, the thing is, there's a paradigm thought shift that's going to have to take place for any of the violence to change. I mean, there's no reason for it, because most of it happens because people need money, is probably the number one factor.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a society of scarcity. So you have the haves and you have the have-nots.
Right.
Well, if you're a have-not, and I mean, look at how many people right now are worried about where's their next meal coming from?
Yeah.
How are they going to how are they going to pay are we going to pay the electric bill? Are we going to pay the gas bill? Are we going to put fuel in the vehicle so we can get to work? We can't get the kids new shoes this year. You know, I mean, people are making those decisions, and you got these jackass oligarchs like these fuckers. None of this affects them. The people that are making the calls, this stuff doesn't affect them, and they don't understand that people do make bad decisions when they're under duress. You know, you don't think with your, you're not using your best thought. And most of us, even when we're doing things with our best thoughts, we screw up. You know? And so when you're sitting there and you're concerned about things like eating and subsisting and surviving, you're not going to make good decisions. And it's no wonder that, that people are just acting. It seems like it's just getting worse and worse, on a daily basis. And then the division, you throw that in, right? You throw the division that the media throws at everybody, the race card, everybody's got to have a pronoun. I don't give a shit how you want to live your life in your bedroom and your personal, whatever you want to do, you do it. As long as you're not doing any harm to anybody else, and whatever you're doing is consensual with whoever else you're doing it with, more power to you. It's your life. Do it. If it makes you happy, do it. Yeah. Just don't throw it down my throat.
Right.
Because I'm not going to throw my shit down your throat. It's like,
I have religion, but I don't push it on my friends.
And you shouldn't. And that's more faith, I would say, than religion. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's a difference there.
You got it. I think that's what they're all supposed to be. I don't think that churches are supposed to trump that.
Well, and I think that, whatever anybody's thoughts or ideas happen to be, that's your personal thing, and that's yours. And at the end of the day, you were born alone, you're going to die alone. It's and that's the fact. There's nothing that's truer than that. We all came into this world pretty much, well, not necessarily alone, because somebody had to get us to that point where we went boom.
Do you want to hear a crazy story from 2 days ago?
Sure.
So we had the funeral in Riverton, and this is right after, we went back to the Comfort Inn or whatever, and Heather's aunt was outside, and she's close to 80 years old, and she's from Wisconsin, so she's she's out of her element.
Right.
And I just went out to my car to go grab my phone. I leave that thing everywhere. So
I wish I'd just leave mine somewhere and never find it again.
Right. So I go out there, and her mom's out there as well, and they're talking to this Indian kid, and we on the reservation, everybody I know says Indian, so I'm not being racist, but Native American, Indian, whatever people are having. But this kid, this huge, massive guy, he's like 18 years old, 20, I don't know.
Yeah.
He looks a little bit distressed or something, and I'm just wanting to go back to my hotel room, and Heather's mom said, "This is Drew. Could you give him a ride back?" And I'm like, "Sure, whatever."
Yeah.
So he starts talking some weird stuff.
Really?
And Heather's mom says, "I'll ride with you," and I'm like, "Okay, well, Drew, I want you to ride up front with me because you're tall." I just didn't want him behind me because I don't know him.
Yeah. And
so originally we were going to drop him off at the casino because he said that he had family working there. And this is probably a 10, 15 minute drive.
Well, yeah, if you're like in Riverton proper, then that's a ways out of town.
Yeah. So this dude starts talking about stuff. He's like, he's really nice. He's like, "I'm sorry to put you folks out." But then he starts talking the crazy. He was like,
uh-oh.
Yeah. He told me about, I can't remember what the word is for grandma, but he was talking about his grandma. And he said, my grandma lives at Beaver Housing, whatever. It's a res neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "So am I taking you there, or am I taking you to the casino? You can't seem to make up your mind,
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, first go up that road." And he takes me somewhere totally different than those two places. And
oh boy,
these are trailer houses that are like, you just see the bones of them. Like the walls are like eroded.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Those dogs are killers." And he points to some dogs, and I'm like, "Okay." And then he's like, "All right, let's turn around." And he's telling me all these commands of where to take him, and I'm like, dude, we got to get going.
Yeah, I'd have just taken him straight to the casino.
Yeah, I that's what I was going to do. And then he said, would you mind doing this? And she's back there telling him, well, just take him to his house,
But how do you know where his house is?
So I said, well, we just got out of a funeral. And he's like, yeah, my grandma just died. And I'm like, you were just talking like she's still alive. I didn't say that to him.
Yeah.
But he tells me to take him to this beaver development, whatever it's called. And, I've been there before.
Yeah.
And it's not where you'd want to be at night. But he points to this white tower. He's like, see the white tower over there? My grandma told me that's where the clown is. And it's an old Indian thing. And he said the clown feeds off your fear. And I'm like, all right, you saw the movie It, or you read the book. I doubt. So we end up going around this neighborhood, and he's telling me about how fierce these dogs are over here. And I'm like, Drew, I'm going to have to go. We've got an engagement coming up. And he apologizes. Yeah. But I was really glad that I had him sit up front because I didn't know. He could have pulled a knife on me and gutted me, but at least I had a chance.
Yeah. But if, I mean, that's a sketchy situation.
Yeah, I did not ask for that.
Were your kids in the car?
No. Just me and the mother-in-law and him. But
Riverton's the most dangerous place in the state.
Oh yeah.
It's dangerous there. I mean, I've been in there in Lander. We almost got in a knife fight with behind the Lander bar. And thankfully the two Arapaho gentlemen who wanted to skin us, they were too drunk and they pulled their knives out and they fell down drunk.
Oh man.
And their grandfather was standing between the two, and I looked at him and I said, sir, are we good?
Luckily he told me, I'm sorry to bring you here. I know I'm not trying to be racist, but I know white people don't like it here, and it's safe. I've got you safe and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, no, I mean, I'm from Denver. And he's like, oh, I lived in Denver once. And I was like, well, I've been in this neighborhood. I used to come see my friend Acid Pete, back in the 90s. And I was just trying to build up some sort of commonality to make him go from psychotic killer to...
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you don't know what. I can't even imagine what it would be like to grow up in that environment.
Oh man, I mean, yeah.
I mean, I did a lot of work out there, and I mean, there would be stories of they would drink a squeeze, which is the sterno. Mm-hmm. Apparently you take sterno and you squeeze it through cheesecloth and drink it. And
go blind.
These guys would they'd walk into Ray Lake outside of Lander. They'd walk into the lake and drown themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, what must life be like to put you in that situation where, and not to have the will to just swim? Maybe that's what that stuff does to you. I don't know. Yeah. I've never tried squeeze. I don't think I ever will, but but you'd see it happen all the time, and we would always go out there to Fort Wasky, and I mean, I've done jobs out there, and there's a lot of desperate people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that don't, I mean, there's no chance, there's no, you want to talk about equality.
I am so pissed that we don't put anything in that, because those people are the most marginalized people.
They certainly are. They have been forever. And I mean, that's why I put out, I put out that meme, they were talking about the Uvalde mass shooting, and I said, what about Wounded Knee?
Right.
No one ever talks about that. That was one of the most horrendous mass shootings ever. I mean, that was the biggest mass shooting in this country.
Well, and how about all the Native American women that are missing still
every
day?
Yeah, you watch that movie Wind River, and that's not, I mean, it's a movie, but it's
that's a reality.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
And I mean, I was locked up with a lot of those guys in prison, man, and I mean, that's why I was just call those guys chiefs, because that's what.
Yeah.
In there, I mean, everything is cut down to what it is, and we shared a TV room with the chiefs, and so I mean. But one kid I was in with, man, he was a good kid, but tell you, he would get on that hooch, man, and I mean, he would just turn into a different person. And and I mean, and he's dead now. He was just a kid. You know, he had like a felony DUI on the reservation or whatever, where he killed somebody, and so he went to federal prison. And he was a youngster. He was like 21, 22. He got out. I remember the day he got out, he owed me a book of stamps, right? And I was like, hey, and I was called him Mini Chief because he was a youngster. I was like, Mini Chief, man, what are you going to do? You going to make that right? You owe me a book of stamps, man. Yep. And he goes, oh, well, how about a thing of Tide? And I'm like, okay, that works, you know. So he goes and steals his roommate's Tide and gives it to me, and then out the door he goes, you know. And so, you know, Big Dan Farmer, you know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Big Dan was my buddy, and so Big Dan comes back to my house, you know, and I've got this thing. I'm like, oh man, I got this Tide, man, because I would always just buy the cheap shit, you know, to do my laundry.
Yeah.
He's like, where'd you get that? And I said, well, your bunkie, you know, he owed me a book of stamps, so he threw this to me, and he goes, that was mine. And I was like, it's still yours, bro. Here you go, man. I gave him, you know, I was like, no, dude, I ain't gonna be like that, you know. And then, you know, I talked to him a couple times, and then all of a sudden on Facebook, I look and I see that the kid, you know, he went out and same thing, I think, it you know, passed away.
Yeah,
but it was on, you know, but he went back to the reservation. I mean, it's a place of desperation, man. It's scarcity. It's hopelessness.
It's probably the greatest tragedy that's unknown by most. And
right.
I mean, look how small the population is in this country of them.
Well, yeah, and then people want to say, oh, you know, they talk about drunk Indians, right?
Yeah.
I'm just coining it for. I'm not saying. But I talked to a guy that's kind of a historian in one of our paint reps back in the day when we were working in Gillette. His name is Munson, and so we started talking about, you know, history and this and that, and he brought up, you know, the whole thing came up about the fact that Native Americans handle alcohol differently than a lot of people do, and he said, well, hey, he goes, here's the deal. He goes, it's not that these are people that abuse alcohol. He goes, here's the deal. He goes, there's genetic memory, and he goes, these are a people that didn't get exposed to sugar until the last couple 100 years.
Yeah. And
he's like, it's not the alcohol. He's like, what makes alcohol? Sugar. He goes, it's the sugar. Mm-hmm. He goes, why do you think there's such a problem with diabetes? He goes, the behavior when combined with the alcohol, he goes, it's in relation to the sugar. And he said, that's my theory. And I sat there and thought about that for a while. And I've looked, you know, I've dug into it, and it's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense. Because we do have genetic memory. You know, there is stuff in our genes that's passed down, and you know, I mean, you look at if you have a group of people that say their ancestors came from a you know, some part of the earth where there was food scarcity, and then all of a sudden they're living in a place where there's abundance.
Yeah,
and you can go get fast food and just eat whatever you want whenever you. I mean, you have obesity that comes out in certain people. And I'm not trying to be racist or anything like that, but it is true. I mean, there is genetic memory, and it's been proven, you know, and that's a crazy thing to think about.
Well,
too.
And it's like, you know, my wife's half Greek.
Yeah.
And you know, people, maybe you've heard it thrown around, a Greek tragedy, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
People are it's for real. Like it's embedded in them, and it's like, if I remember Heather's I'm going to quote her papu Frank. He was in his mid 90s or a little 93 when he died, but he, you know, if you get a cold and you're talking to your dad on the phone, your dad might say, "Oh darn, I hope you feel better," you know.
Right.
When I would tell him, "Oh, I've got a touch of a cold," he'd say, "Oh my God," you know, and he would be worried, and it's a different reaction. And Heather told me that when she went to Greece, she went inside this I don't know if they call it a monastery or whatever, but really she got this really overwhelming feeling of despair, and she found out later that a lot of Greeks were conquered and killed in that room that she was in, and
really?
She felt it.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy. I mean,
and they've had that happen in that culture from the Romans, the Italians,
Yeah, no, and there's stuff in all the
Turkish people coming in.
Well, there's a lot of stuff in the literature with apparitions.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed, I mean, I took a lot of Greek and Roman classic classes when I was in college, and I still have it. I mean, if you go on the other side of the wall, I've got a bookshelf just full of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love Greek and Roman classics.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like Norse stuff, but the Norse literature, obviously, everything got destroyed, and it was Snorri Sturluson, the monk. Mm-hmm. I mean, pretty much all the Norse stuff got burned and everything, so he kind of recreated it. So you don't really know when you're reading all the Eddas and that. It's a recreation, and it's that was all stuff that was kind of, it's a lot like Native Americans, where these are things that are handed down through storytelling.
Yes. Yep.
And I mean that's
it.
That was part of the thing, with Native Americans as well as a part of I know there were positions within the tribe. It's like part of it was being able to tell the stories. Like you had to know the stories and know them correctly. Mm-hmm. Because it's like you think about how things get misconstrued with, like, say a fucking stupid Facebook post.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time it gets, or just, we used to do that in school where somebody would, start off with a sentence and it'd pass around the room. By the time it came to the end, it was
playing telephone. Yeah. Right.
And that's why, like you were saying earlier when we were looking at the photographs here, you're like, oh, maybe that was from his, the vice presidency.
Yeah, but that's not what they show you.
Right, yeah, exactly. But we had to look into it to find that, and that's the thing. You have to find the truth, and you have to. Sometimes you can't just. I get on people a lot with that passing on shit on social media. It's like, no, dude. Like there was one that came out when Trump got elected, and it said, well, there's a wall between Guatemala and Mexico, and it showed a picture of the wall in Israel.
Oh, right.
And it was like, listen, it's like there's a fence in Guatemala, and it goes like 100 feet one side and the other side of the border entry. It's like you're looking at a picture of a wall in Israel. That's not, it's like, don't put that shit out there.
Yeah.
And then people get in their feelings when you call them out on it. But it's like, you should, I'm an Odinist, and one of the tenets of Odinism is like you don't say something unless you can prove it to be true. Mm-hmm. And I try to do that, and I know that I've had mistakes, but every time something like that happens, I did a retraction the other day over something that I'd said a long time ago. Because I came out and said that the Border Patrol agent that was getting his haircut, that he was the one that killed the shooter in Uvalde. Mm. And I'd heard that I'd heard that at that time, and so I said it. And then when I saw an interview with Jacob Alvarado, and he said and that shows character on his part too, because they were interviewing him at the end. They said, "Is there anything else you'd like to say?" And he said, "I would also like to say that I was not the one who shot and killed the shooter. It was not me."
Right.
And when he said that, I went, "Oh shit." I said that it was him. So I got on and started off my next show and said, I've got to put out a retraction on this because I said this was.
But at least you did. Other people nowadays, they just move on.
Let it go. And anytime I say anything that's not right, I try to.
Yeah.
To come back. there's nothing wrong with saying that I made a mistake or I've said something that I shouldn't have said. But in this day and age, like we were saying, it's very difficult because we don't know what we're actually looking at. We get all our information from this,
and it's too fast, and it's
too easy to manipulate.
Unfiltered.
It's filtered is the problem.
Over
filtered.
Yeah,
it's manipulated, and it's used in a way to manipulate.
Yeah,
it's used in a way to But they've done that since.
It's to see who gets it first.
The election between Nixon and Kennedy, I think, was the first time that television and technology played a part in. Invoking an emotional kind of, subliminal response in people, because you had Nixon with his gray suit and
sweating.
Kennedy had a blue suit on and Nixon was over there just,
Man, What would Democrats of today say about Kennedy back then? That's what I'd like to know, because he was always held in high regard.
Right.
But did you ever, wonder, well, he's the one who got us into Vietnam.
And he's the one that took us off the gold standard too.
And he's also the one that didn't like MLK.
Right.
Behind the scenes. But we were fed as children that he was this great civil rights president, and
I remember my dad always had a mask. He always had a Richard Nixon mask that he'd wear for Halloween every year. And he'd walk around like...
He was a turd, too.
Oh, he was. Yeah.
In many ways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, and then to, have... Oh, God, what did they say? The Capitol insurrection was worse than Watergate or the Civil War. It's like, if there was an insurrection, wouldn't those motherfuckers have gone in there with everybody that the Trumpsters got a gun. They didn't take any guns in there. The only person that got shot and killed was a Air Force veteran. And then they tried to say that there's a Capitol policeman that got bashed with a fire extinguisher. No, he didn't. He had a stroke.
I don't think Watergate was nearly as bad as what we're living in right now.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
It's funny because he's still got Bernstein or whatever his name is. He's still around.
Yeah.
He's a turd.
Yeah. Yep.
Deep Throat. Remember that movie with him and Redford?
Yep. Yeah, All the President's Men.
Yep, that was a good one. Yeah, that was about a boring-ass movie. I watched that with my dad, I think, one afternoon. It was like a rainy-ass day, and I was sitting there.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah. I think I watched it in school as well. I saw it at home, but I think
I liked Finkel and Einhorn better than I liked Woodward and Bernstein. Finkel and Einhorn, Finkel and Einhorn, Finkel and Einhorn.
I like the Bernstein Bears.
Oh, God, now you're going to get me going.
I just opened that. You said something about that.
Yeah,
how they pronounce it differently.
The Mandela effect. It's spelled differently.
Yeah, and
What do you think it is, Bernstein or Bernstein?
I think I've got enough things floating in my head to go down that path, but it's weird, man. That is totally weird. I always had it as
the Bernstein Bears, S-T-E-I-N.
The Berenstein Bears.
Now it's S-T-A-I-N.
Yeah, it was the Berenstein Bears.
That's what you have it as? Is A-I-N?
I thought it was E-I-N.
That's what I had it as, too.
Yeah, I had the
I found
the books.
There was a copy over my mom's in the crawl space. I was over there getting my baseball cards, and I found one the other day, and it was S-T-A-I-N.
That's a
now,
mind.
Now, if you want to listen to a mindfuck on that, and people out there, check out a kid named, well, he's not a kid anymore, but Max Laughlin.
I think I saw that
at 13 years old, he came out and put out his theory about it, that how it correlates with the Large Hadron Collider.
Mm-hmm.
And his thought on it is that when these particles crashed, that our universe that we were in ceased to exist, and we got skewed into a parallel universe.
Yeah.
And his theory is that there's infinite parallel universes that just, between every space there's a space. So no matter how thick you draw the line, there's still space in there.
Yeah,
and that's crazy to think about.
I saw that a YouTube about that, and what I always pictured was Bill and Ted and all the cables.
Yeah.
Whatever that was of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy when it's like, it makes you wonder, do we already know about time travel? We just don't know about it? Or, it makes you think about, like, what are we doing here? I get into those existential, it's not existential crisis, but just curious about, like, what is this all about? Because we're the only species that's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
We're the only species that has the language that we have. Now, granted, I believe that animals do have language as well.
Dolphins,
sure.
Yeah.
Birds. Even cats.
Prairie dogs.
My cats, I can sit here and make noises at my cat, and he'll respond to me.
Prairie dogs alert each other whenever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dogs. Everything. Almost every. What animal doesn't make a noise? The fox.
A dead one.
What does the fox say?
I've never heard a fox bark. I've seen plenty of foxes.
They used to be all over at Pahasco. I used to go up there, and I mean, they were so friendly. You just pick them up and hang out with them.
You'll see those and coyotes in the streets of Westminster, Colorado. It's kind of weird.
There's a lot of coyotes right out here. I've seen there's a lone wolf out here. I see him every once in a while, and I saw his tracks yesterday.
What color is he?
He's mangy.
Yeah.
He's like brownish gray. He's old. You can tell he kind of he's been ousted from the pack.
Yeah.
I know where his den is. I just don't want to go up there because I don't want to be like the one that's I've already had a run-in with a rattlesnake this year, and I don't need one with a wolf.
No.
And a badger too.
Badgers?
Badgers? We don't need no stinking badgers. A turtle is the suction cup of life.
Bro. I love UHF.
Bros Wild Kingdom.
UHF is...
Dude, that's the best movie.
Yeah.
I make those references, and literally 1 in 10 people even never understands what I'm saying.
I like Stanley Spadowski's Fun Club, man.
Life is like a mop.
Oh my gosh, that's my mop.
Sometimes you got to get down there with a toothbrush and say, these floors are dirty as hell. I'm not going to take it. Who wants to drink from the fire hose?
So you've shown your kid that then?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, good. Me too.
I'm Conan the Librarian.
Do you remember that pile of dogs, though?
Yeah.
That would not fly nowadays, man.
Spatula City. We sell spatulas, and that's all.
Man.
And then what was the guy's name? Cy Greenbloom. The guy with the hair club or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I like the company so much. I
bought it.
Conan the Librarian. Oh, God. There was some fun. Yeah.
I loved it when he was dressed up like Rambo and he was just wreaking havoc.
That was a great movie. That was one we used to rent all the time. That and Rad.
I got to see Weird Al live in a really small venue. Well, I've seen him twice now, but I saw him at the Arvada Center, which is pretty small.
How old is Weird Al now?
Oh man, he doesn't look like it. Whatever he is,
he might. Yeah. And then he had that part in there where he was doing like the Close Encounters of the Third kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know
this
first
means something?
You know the first time I saw that movie was with Ted Toulouse, and we had just left the Rushmore music camp, right? And we were with his parents. And we stayed at the KOA at Devil's Tower.
Wow.
And they played it outside on a fucking projector. And there was a bunch of fucking bikers out there just on like folding chairs. And we sat there and watched that movie while we were looking at Devil's Tower.
No way.
Yeah. First time I saw it.
I saw it.
And it was weird. Because it was like the moon was out that night. So you could see. I mean, we're right there at that KOA. We're right at, and these bikers were all getting drunk and shit, and we're just sitting there like, oh, this is weird. What was it? What Dreyfus? This is important. This means something.
Yep.
We're like, what in the hell is this mashed potato head doing?
And I love that movie too, Close Encounters. Yeah.
I've never watched it again since.
Oh, man.
I mean, I think we were 13, 14. I mean... Yeah, that was. Yep. Wasn't that what it was?
Yep.
Yeah. Is that Dreyfus? Yeah.
Yep.
There's Devil's Tower right there. Yeah. Devil's Tower is a weird thing.
Yeah, it is.
I've heard that people think it's a petrified tree stump like that. It might have been like the original, tree of life.
Yeah, because they have that picture there of the bear, scratching it.
Yeah.
There was an
it looks
Indian
like
on the
bark.
top. It looks like a tree.
It could be a huge petrified tree stump. Could have been like I don't know, maybe. I don't know. It could have been the original Yggdrasil, on my arm. I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and watch this again.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, it is. I'm seeing all these scenes I've forgotten about. Yeah, what a crazy... I mean, just in the middle... I mean, what is that? I mean, that's a weird deal.
Yeah, and how come there's just one Like
right, and that's it. There's no structure. Like there's nothing like that any fucking where.
And there's lots of mountains that resemble other mountains, but that's crazy.
There's nothing that I mean, it's in Crook County. I mean, how could that? There's nothing else on the planet. It looks like it, is there?
I've never seen anything like that.
I haven't.
No.
I mean, and you've got like the same kind of formation we have around here with the red. You know, you've got like the Chugwater Formation, and it's weird how that comes and goes. Have you seen some? I've showed you some of those big rocks.
Mm-hmm.
The gastroliths. I found another big one the other day. I like finding them. I just wish I could excavate. You know.
Yeah.
But I can't because you can't do that out there. But I know that there's dinosaurs under there because I've seen them, found them, and you know. But yeah, that's just weird. I mean, it does look like a tree stump.
Yeah.
I mean, what in the hell accounts for those striations?
I don't know.
I mean, this is, dude, I don't know, man. I'm going to get all weirded out on this.
As well.
And people climb it, too, all the time.
Yeah.
Every day, people.
It's easy to climb.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's got so many footholds. I guess it's easier than lots of other places.
I do not like rock climbing.
I've gone a few times. I haven't done it in my, since high school, but I always had friends who were into it. Did you ever see that
Cliffhanger?
No, it's worse. It's real.
Schmitty and I saw Cliffhanger one summer at the drive-in, I think 36 times. They kept having it as a double feature.
I saw that movie too. I saw it at the Cody Theater.
We tried to go see it every night that we could. We just like made it it was like, if we could go, we went.
There's this guy though that it's called Free Solo. I don't know if you
Alex Honnold.
Yeah. Dude, I was on the edge of my seat watching that.
No, he's insane. And, you know, I mean, like Dean Potter was the same way, and then Dean Potter died in that flight suit.
Jeez.
I mean, he...
Oh, was it one of those glider suits?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was even one that he filmed where he had his dog in the backpack on it. And yeah, he... I've seen the footage, and you can't see it anymore, I don't think. But... I mean, he knew that he was going to... he would do those slack lines. With no harness, nothing. I mean, he just tested it. And Alex Honnold is much the same way. I mean, he's done El Capitan and Yosemite. And, I mean, dude, that's crazy shit, man.
Yeah.
I mean...
I think he's on the spectrum. There's something different about him.
Yeah, well, for sure, man. I mean, that's not
what normal people can do.
No. Or want to do.
No.
I mean, I don't know.
No.
It's pretty bizarre. I mean, I wouldn't climb that thing. Hell no.
I don't even like climbing the stairs, dude.
Stairs suck. Give me an escalator. or one of those chair things that they got one of those down at the Eagles where you sit in the chair and it rides up the sidewall.
I always think of the movie Gremlins when there was an old lady on one of those stair lift things, and the Gremlins like mess everything. It shoots her out the window.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a weird area out there in Wyoming too. Outside of like Gillette, and that whole area is kind of bizarre.
Well, there's just so much volcanic stuff all around us.
There is.
Who knows?
Yeah, speaking of which, we should go get on a dirt bike.
Oh man, it's 5.
You have to get back.
Oh my gosh, let me.
How long are you here?
I'll be here till Tuesday.
Oh, right on. That's cool.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe we'll go out riding tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can borrow a bike from.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up. We've been going for like 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good show.
And then look at the camera said, "Yeah, you guys are screw you.
You're done."
All right. Well, hey, Josh.
Yeah.
Knuckles up.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Good conversation.
Yeah.
I hope you were all very bored by that and didn't enjoy it at all. And if you did, well, like it and subscribe because that helps. All right. So with that in mind, let's see. Do I have a picture to take us out with? Did I put another image on here? I don't remember. I think we just came in, didn't we?
I think so.
I think we did. Well, balls. All right, we're out.
Bye, everybody.
As we always say around here, be good or be good at it. In all things, be kind and do no harm. We're out.